I would say I'm black. I would never say that I'm just white. Due to
Oh my God, this girl's gonna say she's black. You literally have white skin and like green, what is that, blue eyes, man? And I'm black. What does that freaking mean, man? Welcome back, everybody. This is part 2 of my reaction to the documentary Evoking the M Word. The original video is in the description. Go check out part 1 of my reaction if you missed it. That one just annoyed the hell out of me. Let's see how part 2 turns out.
And I remember finding out like somehow in like school or some like community something that it was like not a cool word, like that it derived from the word mule, and it was.
Okay, this is a good thing. I'm glad she brought it up. Okay, that is a proposed definition, or sorry, a proposed origin of the word mulatto, that it came from, what is it, mula or something like that, and then mulus in Latin. But that is not the definitive actual origin of the word. Okay, because here, let me tell you, there was a word in the Arabic language called muwalad, and this word described people who were like Arab, Muslim, and something else. And then the Muslims, these Arabic-speaking Muslims, conquered the Iberian Peninsula, so modern-day Spain and Portugal, and then the word muwalad became Hispanicized and became muladi. And in that sense, it was still used in the same sense to describe like someone of like mixed ancestry, but also for a specific mixture of someone like who was either former Christian and converted to Islam, or a Christian Muslim kind of mix, something like that. And then understand that all of this happened right before the discovery of America. So all of this is happening in like the 15th century, and then like decades later, we have the discovery of America. We have the Spaniards and the Portuguese going to the Americas, and then we have some mixing happening with the natives, and then with the African slaves that they had taken to the Americas, and then muladi became mulatto. I'll make a more in-depth video about this, but understand that there are people who have a vested interest in mulatto being originated from the word mule, young mule, because they want you to not identify that way. They don't actually care about the word being offensive or not. They want power over you. They need you to identify as black because that's how they get power, okay? They can't have you having your own identity. So they have to tarnish the word as much as possible. They will say it means mule. And then let's say it means mule. And? How am I supposed to be offended by that? You literally got people calling themselves the Eagles, calling themselves the Broncos, the Seahawks, okay? You've got rappers calling themselves Beast and dogs and cats. And you want to tell me that I should be offended because this word originally came from mule? Get out of here with that.
Like it was an offensive word.
mulatto.
Also, she said it was an offensive word. Also, find me one historical context, one historical record where the word mulatto was ever used as an insult. Go ahead, find it. Where it was specifically used as an insult, like the N-word. I don't think you can find it. I don't think you can find it. Where the word specifically mulatto was used as an insult and not just as a description of somebody. Because if mulatto was the insult, then there had to be another word that was the neutral descriptor. Because you had, for example, you had the actual N word that was the insult, and then you had the neutral descriptor like black, people of color, colored people. Those are the more neutral words. And then the actual Nigger word, that was the insult. So if you're telling me mulatto was an insult, it was a derogatory term, find me the evidence. Show me the record where it was being used not as a neutral descriptor alone, but also as a freaking insult.
Mulatto
Mulatto is the most
half white, half black.
The one that
There's
most people have heard of, but there's also quadroon.
Someone who's 1/4 of that.
All the different categories.
Octoroon.
Like the different categories of white.
Okay, and what's your justification for why these words are also offensive? They don't come from young mule. As far as I know, I don't know an animal like origin for the word quadroon or octoroon. These honestly might be from Spanish, because in Spanish we have octabon for I guess octoroon, cuarteron for this is probably Spanish. Cuarteron de mulatto is I guess would be quadroon. It's someone who is roughly like quarter African. So let's say it's been confirmed. These words don't come from some animal origin of the word. Why are these offensive? You can't say it's because of the slavery days, because the word black is also the same thing. It comes from the slavery days, describes slaves. Give me a reason.
Like the drop of blood. Griff is half black, half Indian. Like there's all these different ways to like section off people to make sure you know exactly what is going on.
Okay, so Griff, this is one I didn't know. Most of my knowledge of these like racial categories come from the Spanish side. So Griff, okay, I don't know the history. I can't speak on that one. But I know in Spanish we have sambaigo, we have sambo, we have lobo. Depending on the country and the time period, depends on which word you're going to actually use. But those words are essentially the equivalent of Griff. It was someone who was part Native American, part African. And I think Pardo was, for a time period, also used for that same mixture. But then some sources say Pardo also meant like triracial, so Spanish, West African, and Native American. So one of the things you have to take into account when looking at all of these categories historically is that they were not static. They were a lot of times changing over the time period, changing from region to region, even like individual to individual. And another thing she said that that I kind of took issue with was she seemed to have an issue with like having racial categories to begin with and section off people, I think was what she said, as if like if we chose not to do that, then there would be no differences between us, and that, you know, these are just things we made up. No, we didn't make up race. These are observable things that we can see in people. These are things that we experience. Nature has divided us. Okay, me recognizing racial categories is not me dividing people. That is nature. You have an issue with nature. You don't like that people are different. Okay, I don't know if you knew this, but equality doesn't exist. That's not a thing. Okay, we are all different. We have different abilities. Some people are better than others. Okay. And if you play any kind of sport, if you have any kind of like ability or talent, you know this, okay? I've spent my life playing music and I've always seen, yeah, we're not equal, okay? Some people are really badass at drums and then some people suck. No matter how much time you sit there and spend with them and go paradiddle diddle diddle and all these things, like they're just not gonna get it, man. Okay, because some people are better than others. Okay, there are differences. Just accept it.
Mulatto, you know, that's just like, that's such a, there's so much history with that word, you know, and how we use it. And I don't propose to reclaim it in any way, shape, or form.
Why not? Why not? I mean, she's probably going to tell me right now, but I mean, like, also reclaim it. That's a very Anglo perspective to take. Because she probably doesn't know this, and I'm not going to fault her for this, but like there's a world outside of the Anglosphere. And when I say Anglo, I'm referring to the English language. If you speak the English language, you are part of the Anglosphere. You are from an Anglo culture. And in Cuba, Colombia, all over Latin America, people are using the word mulatto, identifying as mulatto, and it is not offensive. But we as mulattos, like from a global perspective, there's no need to reclaim it. It's our word. We are using the word. It is still in active use. Now in America, for various reasons, it's no longer in use. But if you're an American and you want to identify as mulatto, understand there's no reclaiming it. It's just using the word, just identifying as that.
I think that we should acknowledge the history that that word represents, you know, and that's a part of acknowledging the United States and the violent past that we have.
The violent past for mulatto, but there's no violent past for black. There's no violent past with the word black. Nobody who was receiving violence because of their black identity. Nothing, really? Okay, come on. This is like, I swear these people, they do not think about these things. They just repeat that they've heard. They have an agenda. Like they have a specific conclusion that they want to arrive at, and then they work backwards and say, how can I create an argument that supports my conclusion, supports what I want? Also, I'm just going to add, like the majority of the people in this video seem pretty, like, let's say left of the spectrum. Like a lot of the things they find to be important and a lot of the opinions they kind of have about race in general leads me to believe that these people are very left-wing in general. Now, I'm not right-wing, nor am I left-wing. I say F both wings and F both political parties. They're all trash. All politicians are garbage. They hate you. They are not on your side. But I am definitely also not like left wing. Like this is ugh. I don't like this kind of worldview these people have.
I would say I'm black. I would never say that I'm just white due to
Oh my God, this girl's gonna say she's black. You literally have white skin and like green, what is that, blue eyes, man? And I'm black. What does that freaking mean, man? The word has no meaning if you're black.
sort of more of the knowledge of the history of, black to white racial past.
She could probably join the Hitler Youth, man. Look at her. I mean, the hair. The hair is the only thing. Like the hair, the Fuhrer might have an issue with that. But like, other than that, like she meets the criteria for the Hitler Youth. What are you talking about, man? I'm black.
Passing in the United States and not wanting to do that, not wanting to replicate that.
That's it for part 2 of my reaction to this documentary. Part 3 will be coming out next. If you like what you heard, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I'm out.